Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to day 7 of our extreme grocery budget meal challenge. Guys, we made it to the end of this challenge. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? We have had some amazing recipes over these last 7 days. If you missed anything, please go back and check out the other 7 videos of this series. As you can see, I'm kind of showing you guys what we made over the course of the 7 days. This is only a portion of the meals. We made all this food over these 7 days for less than $30. Yes, guys, even with the tightest of budgets, be creative and have fun with your meals. And of course, you know I'll be doing more of these challenges and these type of meals, so be sure to come on back so that I can continue to share recipes that cost next to nothing but are so creative and so delicious. So today's recipes include this delicious sausage fried rice that we made for dinner. So for lunch, we had corn fritters and onion rings. This meal was so simple, so delicious, so filling. But first we start out with breakfast, of course, and that was our pancakes. We have been loving these pancakes. They have been so delicious and so interesting, the different things that you can do with pancakes. Sometimes you forget until it's time to get creative. So here I just added sprinkles to these pancakes, and my kids really did enjoy this. This is one of my little one's plate, and she really just enjoyed the pancakes with the eggs. She didn't even want the syrup. So now let's move on to lunch. So as you can see, I'm down to the very end of the flour, and please be patient with me during just these couple of clips. It is a little bit blurry, but I promise you it gets better. So to my flour, I'm adding some seasoning salt. I'll be adding some complete seasoning and some black pepper. And it doesn't take much to season this. I mean, if you want to add more seasonings, you can, but I want to keep it kind of simple. So there you see I'm adding my egg. And then I'm going to add water here. You can add milk if you prefer. And I'm going to add my liquid in increments just because this was the last flour that I had. I needed to make sure that I did not mess this batter up. So I'm just showing you the consistency of the batter. And earlier in the morning, of course, you know, I try to prep. I cut these onions up and I coated them with flour. And as you can see, they started to sweat, which is really good because that means that the flour started to stick and it'll be easier for this batter to stick to them. So this is about 2 onions that I cut up and I pulled apart. And here I'm just showing you what it looks like with them. If you choose to batter them all prim and proper, it's not how we're gonna end up, right? But yeah, see, it sticks right to your onion. And I'm just gonna put them on a baking sheet behind me because I'm gonna transfer them from the baking sheet to some oil to be fried. So I'm just showing you how you do it if you don't wanna get your fingers dirty and you have all day. So here, this is where I ended up. I just put all the onions in and we were good to go. So here, I'm just testing out one of my onions to make sure that my oil is hot. This is an old pan. I love it. I fry in it quite frequently, and it's deep enough to where, you know, everything fits in this pan. So there, I'm just adding some more onion rings. So you just fry them until they're the color that you like. And as you can see, I've went in with a couple different tools because I could not find anything to say. I started with a fork. Here I have a spatula. And you'll see I ended up with a knife. I was actually looking for a skewer just to flip them over, but I could not find it and they were already frying and I did not want to burn anything. And just keep in mind also, guys, that the measurements for everything is always down below in the description. I'm just keeping everything moving so that nothing burns and to make sure that everything is getting brown. And once they get to a color that I like, I just pull them off and I put them on a cooling rack next to me. So I'm just showing you what the first batch looks like. And you don't want to crowd your pan here because you want them to get crispy and you want them to cook in a decent time. And I'm frying this on high heat. This is what they look like. They've turned out really nice. So here I'm moving on to the fritter portion of the meal. So here I'm just adding some flour. And that's about 2 cups of flour. Then I'm adding some baking powder. And I almost always sift my flour when I'm doing a recipe that includes flour. And here I'm including some cornmeal. Now, if you remember from our shopping list, we still had some cornmeal, and this is the remainder of the cornmeal, and this is actually the rest of the flour. So I no longer have flour or cornmeal after this. So there, I'm just sifting everything together. And there I'm adding some salt. There I'm adding some butter melted with oil. Measurements will be down below. And here I'm adding milk. And like I said, because I was on my last little bit of flour during these recipes, I wanted to make sure that I got the measurements just right. I could not go back and add any more flour. So here I'm adding sugar. It was really good to have that sweet balance out, that salty from the onion rings. So here I'm just adding water because I do believe that I used the last little bit of milk here as well. So here I'm adding 2 eggs, and you just want to stir that around, and you just want to get everything incorporated. And you'll notice that your mixture is kind of loose, but what you want to do if your mixture is loose, you want to go ahead and put it in the refrigerator and it will thicken up beautifully. So here I'm just mixing everything around. And you'll see that I went to my refrigerator and I had some corn that was sitting in the refrigerator, and I needed to use this up because this corn had been sitting in my refrigerator for the first day of this challenge. So yes, it was still good because I had it in the back of the refrigerator, which typically freezes. Luckily it wasn't frozen and it hadn't gone bad, but I did not want to keep it in the fridge much longer. So I just mixed that in here. This was the perfect recipe to add this. But if you don't have the corn, you do not have to use it. It was just an added benefit that I had it in the refrigerator and I was making a corn recipe. Even though this is sweet, I still want a little bit of a zing. So I added the black pepper. It was a good contrast to the sweet. So there I'm just mixing it around, and then I'm going to show you what the batter is going to look like. And like I said, once you put it in the refrigerator, it is going to thicken up on you depending on how long you keep it in the refrigerator. Here I'm just adding the batter to my pot. And you don't want to add too much because if you add too much, the inside will not cook. And you want to keep it on a medium high. Not too high. You do want to start it high, but you do not want to keep it high because it will burn before it cooks. So here I've added my batter, and you'll see that the batter will start to spread and it will puff. So you have to keep an eye on it. And here I'm just turning it, and yes, I'm turning it very fast because I was on a mission. You will notice in all these videos that I am on a mission. Please remember that I am a working mom. I have a house full of kids and we are trying to cook each meal, but at the same time, I want to show you guys that no matter how busy you are, it's important to save money. And if you can save money with making meals for your family, then here, this is a quick way to do it. So I'm happy to share. So there I'm just taking out these fritters. I actually wanted to put powdered sugar on them to see how they would turn out, but then I thought I could not deal with kids hyped on sugar. So I didn't do that. So here I'm just showing you what everything looks like once everything was fried up. So I just put it out. Everybody grabbed what they want. As you can see, we had way more than enough food. This was the last little bit of flour and milk and I believe eggs that we had for this week, and everything turned out great. And look how delicious that looked on the inside. It was so soft, moist, and oh, it was so good. So good. So here we're moving on to dinner. So here I'm just gonna fry up my sausages at first. And I ended up with quite a bit of sausage still left. If I would have planned out my meal ahead of time, if you go back to the first video, you'll understand what I'm talking about. I would have incorporated this sausage in maybe another meal as well. I still have quite a bit of sausage, but my kids, they weren't too fancy on the idea of putting sausage in the fried rice. So I just cut up a few, but towards the end, you'll see that I actually ended up adding even more sausage because this actually turned out really, really delicious. So there to my pan, I had some oil and I added some rice, and I actually cooked this rice earlier that morning. So it wasn't stale rice like I like to use, but that was fine because it's that parboiled rice. It still holds its shape and never gets really mushy, so it was okay to use this rice here. So there I'm just adding some soy sauce and of course some complete seasoning. So I'm just seasoning this just like I seasoned the last rice. So this is just a quick overview. And of course I added some adobo seasoning. And I still always have veggies, but I never use the full bag. So you'll always see this bag. So there's the veggies. I added just enough veggies, not too much, but just enough. And there I'm just mixing everything around. You just want to keep everything moving. And I'm just stirring everything up. And then I'm going to add some butter. This adds a really good flavor to your fried rice. If you have never added butter to your fried rice. And there I'm adding my eggs. I had about 3 beaten eggs that I added here. I'm just going to let them sit there. I'm going to let them fry on their own. And there I'm just scrambling the eggs, just moving them around. So there I'm just breaking up the eggs. And then once you have everything mixed together, you're just gonna add your sausage. It's as simple as that. It's no different from any other fried rice where you just throw everything in. Fried rices are amazing because you can throw whatever you have in your refrigerator into those pots. And oh my gosh, they're so good. And they're one pot meals, so they're perfect, especially if you're on the go and you just want to get dinner on the table. So this was a quick, easy dinner for us for this last night of this challenge. And again, friends, I want to thank you guys for stopping by, and I hope that you comment, share, and subscribe. And if you missed any of the videos in this series, please be sure to check out the playlist. And until the next video, guys, bye.